So I was going to open up this review about saying how Marvel usually doesn't miss, but this one movie they just missed on like the other recent movies. But this is the Sony verse of the Marvel universe, and I was going to like keep this spoiler free, but the trailer to Morbius, the trailer spoils the movie, except for like a major piece. The majority of the movie is spoiled in this trailer, so this is gonna be a spoiler-free version as far as the trailer goes. What's up, world? Welcome to the episode of Movie Breakdowns. I'm your host, Ali Zakka. And before I get started, is there a movie you want me to review? Let me know. Please put in the comment section below and I'll get to it as best I can. Also, Patreon/Ali Zakka. And for $2 a month, you get to cut in front of everybody to review out way before it comes on Facebook and YouTube. You also get trailer reaction, trailer reviews, and much more content on there as far as discussions on the Patreon. Now, let's go ahead and get into today's episode of 2002's Morbius, the latest Marvel movie from the Sony Studios. Out, and like I said, this is gonna be a spoiler-free version or spoiler-free half of the video as far as what the trailer gives you, and then the second half be spoiler-filled. What is Morbius about? Morbius is about a guy named Michael Morbius who has a rare disease and he's looking to cure it by using bats. And when he tried to use bats to cure it, he gets turned into a vampire. And he has to deal with this new urge of this blood-sucking monster and the human that's within him, and try to navigate through life with the ability to, now that he is healed, but at the same time, he is a monster out for blood. And that's pretty much the basis and synopsis of Morbius. He is a Spider-Man villain, a Marvel villain or antagonist that I remember watching from the 1990 Spider-Man cartoon as a kid. I think he was dating Felicia Hardy in the TV show, and him and Spider-Man got into it a bunch of times, and then they end up teaming together and then going back and forth to each other. That's pretty much the gist of Morbius. To think they made a movie for him, I was surprised by it, but heck, here we are in 2022. Things I like, the acting. I did enjoy Jared Leto and the rest of the cast acting in this movie. I thought, as far as what they had, was awesome. I thought the acting in the cast was good. The ideal of this, I also liked, or the first half. The idea of a horror vampire movie where the villain is the hero/hero villain thing that you're pulling at yourself and everybody trying to help him calm down. I like that. That's pretty much it. Everything else about this movie, the writing, the script, the dialogue, and a few, I'm not sure it's camera, but scene placements just didn't work for me in this movie. Now, is this movie as bad as everybody's saying it is? No, but we had so many superhero movies at this point that you've seen the same tropes over and over again, and then on top of that, it just do better in 2022. This movie came out in 2003. It might be a higher grade because, you know, we haven't got that superhero fatigue of the same exact thing. And because the main villain's not expressed in the trailer, so I'm gonna say that in the spoiler section. But just think that when it comes to the antagonist of this movie, you're gonna see this same type of antagonist archetype storyline in Venom, Iron Man 1, Captain America 1, The Incredible Hulk 1. No, Spider-Man actually stays away from that trope. Matter of fact, all the Spider-Man stay away from that trope. More of the MCU movie. Oh, Ant-Man 1. Guardians of the Galaxy stays away from it. Doctor Strange 1. Every origin tale movie, majority of origin tales movie, you're going to see this plot being done when it comes to the villain, and this movie is no different as well. One more thing I did like before I get into dislikes is I did like the fact that they, at certain times in the fights, they will slow it down. But then it got to the point where it was over slowing it down. The movements of Morbius, how fast he's supposed to move. They like, we like this. We're gonna slow it down more and more and more. It got too much, but as first part, like I enjoy the slow down moments. until the final fight scene. And now here's the dislikes. The writing of this movie. This movie opens up, and this is also probably dealt with scene placement too. So the movie opens up with just Morbius, like the name of the character, and that's it. Like you got the giant M screen, like title screen, and it's kind of like the old school superhero movie where they do the whole introduction, the title screen and everything, like the Spider-Man thing. So I don't think of X-Men. It just opens up with Morbius. No like cold open before you get the title scene. It's just Morbius. And then you have a flashback to a flash forward to another flashback within the flash forward, and then it was actual life, and you're like, what is going on here? So he was in the past getting to the present, and then he went to the present, but then flashed back to a kid as a kid, and he went back up to the present again. So like it's already messy beginning, but no, it's fine. It's fine. You get the horror aspect of it, and then it switch was another thing I didn't like. It switched into an action-packed superhero movie, and you're just like, we had the horror vibe. It's a vampire movie. People don't understand what's going on. Why didn't you keep that and run with it? You kept it and you started jogging, and then you was like fumble, drop the ball, and I'm gonna run the opposite direction. No, keep it horror. You don't go down the trope that we've seen in all the other superhero movies right now. You don't do that. You had it right. You picked it up and then you switched it back. As also with the writing and character development in this movie, you have characters where people say like, oh, this character is so and so, and they have this, this, and this. But the movie, they never show you what this character had, this, and this, and this. Another thing, characters show up in random spots just for plot convenience. There are certain times in this movie where a character is like, oh yeah, I got this for you. How? How do you know where this place is at? How did you get to this place? How do you know the directions? You've never been here. As far as the movie goes, you never knew about this, and all of a sudden now you're in my place and you have the thing that I supposed to have. How? What do you even find this at? I didn't explain to you where I put this in order for you to get this become like this. Like characters show up and do things in this movie, and you're just like, how'd you get here? I need to know how. I need to know why. You just showed up here. There's a certain scene for a character that you can literally take out the movie and it wouldn't change a thing. It would not change a thing because cameras are everywhere. It's 2022. This movie's present day. So there's a scene that happens where this character destroys people and then it disappears. And then he does it again, and there's a camera. Like, oh, we have a camera outside here. Why don't you have the camera in the subway hallway? Like, I don't know. Maybe I've never been in a subway, so I don't know. Like, if there's not, I'm pretty sure there's security for people who go into trains stuff like that. So I think there would be like at least a camera in the hallway, especially for a busy train area. And another thing about this movie, Morbius goes into hiding multiple times in this movie, and he wears a hood, but you can still recognize him. He's famous. So there's times when he's sitting out and about in places and not hiding who he is, and everybody knows what he looks like. So like nobody was like, your face is all over the news. You're Morbius. To me, like, nobody approaches people, nobody uses surveillance systems when it's like broad daylight, and there's police officers in this movie doing a detective as well. So they're looking for this stuff, and one of the villains in this movie, you could say the whole scene that led up to him being on a security camera was not really necessary, but then it shows him on a security camera and you're just like, why? For what reason? What reason is that scene here? I didn't need this scene. And it almost shows him like he's not a bad guy. The dude was being a jerk to him, so for what he does, it's like, yeah, he pushed me around and I just got my revenge on him. Like, I don't know. And then the villain in this movie also comes out of nowhere. Why he became a villain was unnecessary, and what he was after at this point was just pointless. And I was just like, why? Yeah. This movie's not that great. It's not that great. But it's not the worst. I've seen worse, but it's not that great. Alright, so let's go ahead and get into the cast, directors, and writers of this movie, and the time of the movie and rating. So this movie is rated PG-13. It's an hour and 44 minutes, which I was like, oh, it's an hour and 44 minutes. I'm actually not bad at, I wasn't mad at that. The director is Daniel Espinosa, and the writers of this movie is Matt Sazama, who's a screenplay, Burke Sharpless screenplay, and then Roy Thomas, the Marvel comic character creator. And the cast, Jared Leto, who played Morbius, I thought Jared Leto did a good job. Like, I can see him being Morbius. I feel like he fit the character, and I thought, like, you know, if he was in another movie with other characters, I think Morbius would have been fine or had a different antagonist. But I like Jared Leto as Morbius. I thought he was fine. Adria Arjona, who played Martine Bancroft, she is the doctor assistant to Morbius and kind of like a love interest for him. She gets knocked out in the movie, but she comes back. That's not really much of a spoiler, but she's around, and she's fine. She did fine as a character. There's not much character development for her, but as the actress goes and playing the character, like, she's fine. Because he is in the trailer, Matt Smith, who I believe this is Doctor Who. I have to double check. Yes, it's Doctor Who. That's okay. Cause I looked at him, I was like, I recognize that guy. I think that's Doctor Who. Yeah, Matt Smith, who plays Milo. He is in the trailer. I'll talk more about him in the spoiler section. Tyrese Gibson, which is like, oh, Tyrese is in this movie, who plays Simon Stroud, who's the police officer. And Jared Harris, who played Emil, he's in the movie as well. And because the trailer does show him in this movie, Michael Keaton's in this movie. That's pretty much it. Like, that thing I feel like did good. Any other thoughts? The soundtrack in this movie is not really memorable. You're not going to remember much about the soundtrack. There are 2 after credit scenes, so stay around for that. And that's about it. Is this a Friday night movie, or should you see this movie in theaters? No. Don't do it. Don't waste your time. Unless you're a super big superhero fan, don't do it. Grading time. I'm going to grade Morbius from 2022 a D+. This movie gets a 69% for me. It's a D+. Like I said, the acting, I like the acting. I like the ideal of Morbius. It's just what I didn't like was the writing. The writing wasn't good. The dialogue. There's certain scenes in this movie where you're like, yep, heard that before, heard that before, heard that before. Okay, this is out of hand. This is ridiculous. The screen placements or the scene placements were like one scene here and the next scene here was a little unnecessary in certain spots, or it didn't make sense, or they feel like they cut out scenes in this movie to make it seem more like, to make it more sense. Like, there's scenes in the movie that need to be added to make more sense. Like, I'll talk about it in the spoiler, because there's a scene where the character is like, oh, I need to go look into here to get it. Like, how do you know to find it in there? You've never been in the lab. This is your first time here. Where's the other people at? I know this building is filled with a bunch of people. How did nobody recognize that Morbius is in there being bat-like? Fudge. So, yeah, yeah. It's a D+ for me. Like, the camera. I ain't get to talk about the camera yet. The shaky cam in this movie was unnecessary. I get you trying to be like more horror vibe, but then you switch to an action-packed superhero movie. Why is there shaky cam? And oh, the CGI. The CGI is one more thing I didn't talk about. The CGI is fine at certain points, and there's times where it's not fine. Think Venom, the very first Venom movie that came out, and the CGI with that final fight scene between Venom and Riot. Venom and Riot. That CGI, think of that fight, and then think of Morbius in that fight, and it looks just like you don't know what's going on. You really don't know. And the final fight scene, I'll talk about it on spoilers. But yeah, this movie gets a D+ for me. If you see Morbius, what did you think? Please put in the comment section below. Other than that, see you guys in the next episode of movie breakdowns. And spoilers keep being awesome. And spoilers are coming up in 3, 2, 1. Actually, before I start the spoilers, because I didn't talk about this in the actual non-spoiler version, IMDb gives this movie a 4.8 out of 10. That's a 50%. Rotten Tomatoes gives this movie a 16%. That's bad. Like, that's F. That's a Z. And the audience score though for this movie is a 65% on Rotten Tomatoes. So that's my D plus, 69%. I'm like there with the rest of the audience. So yeah, that's what I want to say about the IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes. I didn't get that in the non-spoiler section when I close it out. Now let's go ahead and get into the spoilers. So the villain of this movie, and that's why I'm talking about. This is probably my most nitpick. I don't even think it's a nitpick. It's just overdone so much. The villain is Matt Smith, who plays Milo, who is the best friend of Morbius. They grew up together. They both have this rare disease. They both grew up together in like this hospital for people with the disease. And when Milo is about to die, Michael Morbius saves him using like just fixing technology. He saves him and goes to Xavier School for Gifted Children. Yes, they mentioned Xavier School for Gifted Children in this movie. It's a school in New York. So Morbius goes there, and then years pass. Morbius is a doctor, brilliant doctor who's used artificial blood, which doesn't show like when it got made, but he used artificial blood to save a bunch of people, and he's been using this artificial blood to keep himself from turning into Morbius the vampire in this movie. Like he does it to kind of contain it, so he doesn't lose control. If he has real blood, he loses control, but he has artificial blood, he doesn't lose control. In this world in New York, they're using artificial blood for people in situations, which is colored blue. So the blue blood versus the red blood, the blue pill versus the red pill, which one you taking? And Milo, who's by the way, is rich, by the way. He's rich and he works for the mob. The mob works for him. Like he's a mob boss who apparently everybody follows. Like he has a way to get connection and get shipped. Like he funds all of Morbius stuff. So Morbius and Milo are good friends, and Morbius is trying not to lose himself, not to turn back into the vampire, but he writes on this glass window, blood, and Milo comes in and sees him in his laboratory. Milo has not been in the laboratory before, by the way. This is the first time in this movie, and he goes, blood. Oh, the refrigerator. Let me run over to it. How do you know where the refrigerator is at? You've never been here. And he gives the blood to Michael Morbius. Morbius tells him, hey, this way it happens. What becomes of you if you take the serum? Yes, I can walk, but at what cost? And I don't want to give it to him. Milo's like, give me the blood. I need the serum. I need it too. I want to be like you. It's not fair. It's not fair. So he's a brat, pretty much. A lot of stuff happens. Morbius goes to jail. Milo shows up, gives Morbius more blood, the red blood, by the way, and then prove that he can walk on his own. And I'm sitting here thinking, like, one, there's people watching you guys. So how did you drop the red blood pack off into the prison cell when people are watching you? There's a guard right outside. And not only this, you walk in with a cane, but you walk out normal. Nobody else thinks this is weird. Nobody else thinks it's awkward. Okay, sure. Where are the people paying attention to stuff at? Speaking of paying attention to things, Morbius has been in his lab, right? It's a glass window. People can walk through and see what's going on. Matter of fact, there's a lady who works with Morbius as well, who's a nurse, and she's walking by in this movie. And I'm like, why has she not know Morbius in there? Where's the other people walking by and see Morbius flip over stuff and pick up things and jump off walls and do all these different things with bats? Matter of fact, doing the legal project with bats. What's her name? She's another M name. Yeah, Martine, Milo, Morbius. Why's all these M's in this movie? But Martine mentions that Morbius is doing illegal stuff with bats. And she reveals there's a bunch of bats that are hiding in there. This is illegal. So why do nobody else think this is illegal? Seeing the bats, like, why are there a bunch of bats in here? Think, put two and two together. Morbius is the vampire. Whatever. In a way, like, nobody pays attention to things in this movie that will legit solve a lot of problems in this movie. And also, how did Milo find the serum? Morbius never told him where the serum is at. He just says, I found a cure for this, but he never said how many he has or how many cures. For all we know, it could have been just one vial. You know, the movie showed you he picked up multiple vials, but it could have been one vial. How did Milo know he had more than one? And then how did Milo become a vampire? Did he drink the blood? I don't know. Did he take the serum? I don't know. And he can control it. how? There was times in this movie I was looking like this at the screen, like there's a Kevin Durant meme where Kevin Durant's like, and there's a Doc Rivers meme where Doc Rivers like. I felt like both of those memes in this movie. I literally watched the last arc of this movie, the last act, just like, bruh, what is happening? What is happening? And the club scene, which also doesn't paint, it does not paint Milo in a bad light. It actually shows him like, oh, I got wrong. I'm like, I ain't kick people butt who bully me. Like, dude, we get it. Somebody punch you while you trying to hit on the girl for no apparent reason. Why did the guy get mad at Milo for hitting on the girl? I don't know. There was no connection between the guy and the girl. They both were facing two different directions. The girl was facing this way, the guy was looking that way, and all of a sudden Milo comes up and the dude's like, what are you talking to her for? Were you talking to her? No. So why are you fighting? Like, this is your establishment, man. Get out of my face. This movie, I swear, the first act is not bad. You know, it's kind of convoluted and a little, but the middle part to the end is like, and I didn't even talk about the jokes. The jokes, this movie had jokes left and right. They try to hit you with jokes, but it's not funny. It's not funny. It's all just flat jokes in this movie that you heard in other movies that have been done in other places, and they try to make Jared Leto Morbius seem a little like goofy, fun related character, but he's not. Like, he does the I am Venom, and then just continue through and beats the dude up. Like, he went in and found these dudes who stole a meal at a diner, and he goes and follows them and then takes their hideout. So you're like, Morbius is a jerk. What the heck? Morbius is a jerk. He's a dick. Like, and then he doesn't tell Martine where his hideout is at, but yet she appears in his hideout. And she also has kids, by the way. She has two twin daughters that you don't see in this movie at all. Matter of fact, she leaves her place, takes her cat with her, and their kids nowhere to be seen in this movie. So why was the kids relevant in this movie? Because the police officer, because Morbius is wanted for murder, by the way. That's another thing. He's wanted for murder for the events that happened on the ship that you see in the trailer. And the police is like, we don't care about you killing thugs. Like, they're actually Russian criminals. Like, that's fine. But Martine, who's in the hospital with twin daughters, and he's like, yeah, I'm aware of that. I'm sorry. She's perfectly fine. So why? What's the cause there? Like, you wanted somebody for murder for killing criminals that you guys are gonna look for. So what? Like, why is he in jail? Why is he in jail? Your cops even said they looked past that. It was the fact that Martine was hurt, but she's not pressing charges, so therefore there's nothing Morbius be in jail for. And then there's people dying that Morbius, like, oh, Morbius is the one killing. And they're like, no, there's another vampire who just appeared out of nowhere, who happened to be Milo, who just wants to be a vampire. And then why is he attacking Morbius? I don't know. I don't know at all. Literally, Milo could have been a vampire and done his own thing. And Morbius been like, fine, not messing with him. I get their best friends. And, oh, by the way, let's do the whole Spartan, we are the few, they are the many kind of thing. We are Spartan. And they said it multiple times in the movie. We are the few. They are the many. Bro, get over yourself. Like, yeah. And then the after credit scene shows, which doesn't make sense to me because of the events in the multiverse, but apparently Adrian Toomes, Michael Keaton's Vulture, is in the Sonyverse now. Why? I don't know, because Peter Parker that he knows is in the MCU verse, or I guess the Disney verse, the MCU, Marvel Cinematic Universe, and he's over there, but yet he gets teleported to the Sonyverse and he stays in the Sonyverse. So who does he know in the Sonyverse to stick him in there? Or there's a Peter Parker in this verse and he teams up with Morbius in the movie. Now the trailer, you watch the trailer, it makes it look like Morbius is gonna fight the Vulture. Like the Vulture is in this movie and Morbius is gonna fight the Vulture. But no, it just looks like they're gonna team up at the end of the movie, and Venom is existing in this universe as well. He just haven't been in San Francisco, not in New York. So there will be somehow they'll get Tom Holland to New York, and I don't know if there's gonna be a new Spider-Man or there's gonna be old boy Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man universe. So I don't know, but the trailer made it seem like this movie was a movie about, you know, Morbius fighting in a conflict battle structure thing like the Hulk, but in reality, no, it's nowhere near from that. It's Morbius like, yeah, I don't want to be a vampire, to Milo like, let's be vampires together for no reason. Or we're best friends, we can rule the world together. But there's no rule the world together. It was just like, why was Milo being like, I get Milo who'd been bullied his whole life, finally wants to be like the top dog and do the things he wants to do, which I was completely cool with that. There's a whole dance scene that Matt Smith does. I'm just like, okay, fine. It's not necessary, but I get Milo actually want to have fun and enjoy life, but he's already enjoying life, just on the verge of dying. So now he doesn't have to die. I get that, but like, why was he the villain? You tell me. You tell me. I'm done talking about Morbius, but yeah, that's my thoughts. That's my ideal of it. Just, oh yeah, the final fight scene between Milo and Morbius was horrible. And Morbius does a Kamehameha wave full of bats. Like he does this, gets together and like Kamehameha blasts Milo, and I thought it was the most funniest thing ever. And I'm sitting in the theater like, I can't do this. And the last credit, after 2 credit scenes was like where I was like, okay, cool. One though, Iron Man's not in this universe. How did Toomes get his vulture suit? Anyway, I'm done talking about Morbius. If you guys seen Morbius, what did you think? Please put in the comment section below. Other than that, thank you guys for watching this episode of Movie Breakdowns, and keep being awesome. Thank you so much for making it to the end of this video. I really appreciate that. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. If there's a review you want me to watch or do, let me know. Please put it in the comment section below this video. Also, you want to watch the last episode of Movie Breakdowns, it's right there. Just gotta click on it and you'll be able to watch it. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. Love y'all, and keep being awesome.